All right, so are you ready to dive into one of those questions that's like always on people's minds?
I'm intrigued. Lay it on me.
Is there a God or a higher power out there? We've got some pretty interesting stuff to explore, and I think it'll really make you think, no matter where you stand on this whole thing, believer, skeptic, somewhere in between.
Yeah, it's a big one for sure.
Right. So we're going to look at this from all angles. Philosophy, science, personal stories, the whole shebang.
Sounds like a deep dive indeed.
Yeah, and honestly, some of the arguments and counter-arguments we found, pretty surprising stuff.
Well, let's get into it then. Where do we start?
Okay, so philosophy. Because let's face it, philosophers have been wrestling with this question forever, right?
Oh yeah, going way, way back.
One of the big ones, the classics, is the cosmological argument. Basically, it says everything needs a cause, so what caused the universe?
Makes sense. I mean, gotta start somewhere.
Exactly. And Thomas Aquinas, a pretty influential thinker, he said this first cause, that's got to be God.
So like tracing it all back to that ultimate beginning.
Right, like the very first domino to fall. But that kind of makes you wonder, like, who created the first cause then?
Right, yeah. It's like, does it have to be the God we think of, or could it be something totally different, you know?
Yeah, something we haven't even imagined. And does a first cause even need a cause itself? I mean, doesn't that kind of mess up the whole argument?
You're going down the philosophical rabbit hole now.
Yeah.
But even if we accept the first cause thing, does that automatically mean it's like the God from Christianity or Islam or any specific religion?
Definitely a lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
Okay, then you've got the teleological argument. This one focuses on the universe being so crazy complex and organized.
It does kind of feel designed when you think about it. Like, how did all this happen so perfectly for us to be here?
Right, the odds seem like impossible.
Mind-boggling, really. It's like, think about all this precise values, physical constants, the laws of physics, even just the fact that our planet's at this perfect distance from the sun.
Yeah, like even a tiny change to any of that and poof, no life.
Exactly. So some people look at all that and say, it's gotta be a designer, some cosmic fine-tuner. God.
But then we've got evolution, showing how life can become super complex from simpler stuff through natural processes. So does that kind of shoot down the whole designer idea?
Well, evolution is definitely powerful. It shows how natural selection, working on random stuff, variations can lead to all this amazing complexity. But some would say it explains the how more than the why. Like, why is the universe even set up to make evolution possible in the first place?
Ooh, that's a good way to put it.
It's like, think of a chessboard. The rules of chess explain how the game works, but they don't tell you why the board exists or why the rules are what they are.
Perfect analogy. So evolution's the game, but who made the board, wrote the rules?
Right. And then things get even more interesting when you bring in things like the anthropic principle, this idea that there might be some deep connection between the universe and us, the observers.
Wait, so like the universe needs us?
It's a wild thought, right?
Yeah.
Makes you totally rethink our place in everything.
Whoa. Okay, so we've got these arguments for a higher power, counter-arguments based on science. But can't forget the skeptics.
Oh yeah, gotta have those.
Like David Hume, a philosopher. He questioned the whole need for God to explain the universe at all.
Yeah, Hume was a big skeptic.
That's
He
right.
basically said, hold on, just because something is complex doesn't mean it was designed. Our brains love patterns, but those patterns might not be real.
Right. And he asked, if God created the universe, then who created God? And does the universe even need a purpose? Maybe just, IS.
It's a good reminder that we don't have all the answers.
Okay, so philosophical battle royale. What's sticking out to you so far? What's making you think?
It's crazy how these old philosophical debates are still so relevant. I think it shows just how badly we want to understand our place in this whole universe thing. And maybe the most important thing isn't finding the answer. Maybe it's asking the right questions.
I love that. Okay, speaking of questions, let's see what science has to say about all this.
Science has done some pretty amazing stuff figuring out how the universe works, where it all started.
It's mind-blowing, really.
One of the biggest, the Big Bang Theory, tells us the universe had a beginning. This super dense point of energy that exploded outward and bam, everything we see today.
When I first heard about the Big Bang, it totally changed how I saw things. It's like almost impossible to grasp. All the stars, galaxies, planets, all from this one tiny point.
Right. It's like, whoa, where did that come from?
Exactly. So what caused it? What triggered this whole explosion? Some people look at that and say, that's got to be proof of a creator, some force outside the universe kickstarting everything.
It's definitely a powerful idea, right? This moment of creation, the start of time and space. For a lot of people, it's hard to imagine that just happening on its own.
But didn't Stephen Hawking say the Big Bang could have been started by natural laws, like gravity? No divine intervention needed.
That's right. Hawking, brilliant physicist, he argued that the laws of physics themselves could done it. He said maybe the universe came from a singularity, this point of infinite density, where the laws of physics, like, break down, and it's all governed by quantum mechanics and gravity.
Okay, hold on. The universe creating itself out of nothing. How does that even... I mean...
It's a tough one to wrap your head around, I know. But the basic idea is, at the quantum level, you've got these tiny particles popping in and out of existence, like from nowhere.
Huh, okay.
So Hawking said maybe a similar thing happened on a huge scale with the whole universe. It just fluctuated into being from a quantum vacuum.
So no creator needed for the Big Bang itself? Maybe. But what about all the specific conditions for life to exist? It seems so perfectly set up, like with the fine-tuning argument.
Yeah, the fine-tuning argument. It really makes you wonder. It's like the strength of gravity, the speed of light, the mass of an electron, all these things have to be exactly right.
Even the tiniest bit off, and I don't know, maybe stars wouldn't form or they'd burn out super fast. No time for life to evolve.
Yeah, precisely. It's as if everything was, like, carefully balanced to make life possible.
But couldn't it just be a coincidence? I mean, what are the chances we just happen to be in this one super lucky universe?
That's where the multiverse theory comes in. Some physicists think our universe isn't the only one. Maybe there are tons of universes, each with its own laws of physics, its own settings.
So, like, a whole bunch of cosmic lottery tickets.
Exactly. And if there are infinite universes, it's not so crazy to think at least one of them would be perfect for life. Just a matter of probability.
Okay, so maybe not one lottery ticket, a whole stack of them. But that still makes you wonder, who created the multiverse then?
Right. It's like that philosophical loop we talked about before. Does a multiverse need a creator, or does it just, like, exist on its own? It's a question scientists and philosophers are still debating.
So science can explain a lot about the Big Bang, the fine-tuning, even the possibility of other universes. But we're still left with some big mysteries. Does science mean there's no God? Or is there something even bigger we just haven't figured out yet?
That's what's so cool about science, right? It doesn't always give us the answers, but it makes us ask better questions. It forces us to think bigger, explore new ideas, and realize that maybe we don't know as much as we think we do.
Totally. And even with all these amazing discoveries, there's still that whole realm of personal experience. And that plays a huge role in how people answer this question of God.
It's wild, right? We go from the Big Bang and multiverses to this really personal stuff.
Yeah, it all connects somehow.
Because even if we can't, like, scientifically prove or disprove a higher power, there's no denying those individual experiences.
Definitely. For, like, forever, people from all different backgrounds, cultures, religions, they've had these experiences that point to something bigger than themselves.
I totally get that. I remember once I was hiking in the mountains, got to this peak, and the view is just, I don't know, took my breath away. This feeling of awe, like I was part of something huge, ancient. It's those moments of awe, right? They can really connect us to something beyond our everyday understanding. And for some people, those experiences, whether it's in nature, through prayer, meditation, whatever, they can be totally life-changing.
In our source material, we heard from this theist guest, and they were talking about their faith as something super personal, not based on arguments, but just like trust and lived experiences. They talked about moments that felt like, I don't know, like a higher power stepping in. Things that science couldn't explain.
Yeah, and on the flip side, we heard from an atheist guest. They found meaning and inspiration in, like, the vastness of the universe. Didn't believe in a traditional God, but still felt this sense of awe, almost spiritual, when they thought about cosmic time, the whole journey of life on Earth.
So interesting how both those experiences, religious or not, can shape how we see the world. It seems like we're wired to search for meaning, for connection, whether we find that in a divine being or the wonders of nature.
It shows that this whole question can't just be about science. Science is great at explaining how things work, but it can't really capture those subjective experiences.
It's like explaining love with a chemical equation. Just doesn't cut it.
Exactly. And those feelings, those experiences, they're important. They're what drives so many people to try and understand their place in the universe, whether that leads to religion, spirituality, or just a deep appreciation for the beauty and mystery of everything.
So where does this leave us? After this deep dive, looking at philosophy, science, personal stories, we've uncovered so much. More questions and answers, maybe.
I think that's the whole point. Maybe the journey of figuring things out is just as important as having the answer. What we've seen is that humans are amazing at coming up with explanations. Philosophical proofs, scientific theories, we're always pushing the limits of what we know.
We went from the first cause to a self-creating universe, the multiverse. And who knows what's next?
Right. But we're still left with that sense of wonder. If we go back to the fine-tuning argument and think, what if it's not random chance or a conscious designer? What else could explain this incredible balance, this perfect setup for life? Maybe there are forces, principles at play that we don't even have the words for yet.
Wow. That's a lot to think about. So maybe the answer isn't yes or no, but something way more complex, something we can't even grasp right now.
The universe is full of mysteries. That's what makes it so incredible to explore.
Couldn't have said it better myself. To all our listeners out there, keep those questions coming, keep exploring, keep searching for your own answers. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. Until next time, stay curious.